I'm titling today's edition of One Leg Up with Alex Garrett as What You Missed During the Super Bowl. Because I still don't feel like it's talked about enough. The fact that we actually saw a bloody conflict as the IDF were trying to rescue 2 Israeli hostages from Hamas captivity. 100 wounded and, it was just a bloody mess trying to get them out of there. But they got 2 hostages freed. And I think the IDF deserves a lot of credit. And if the American media is not talking about it enough, it's because maybe they don't want Israel to succeed. Maybe they don't want the hostages to be freed. I pray that's not the case. But why aren't we talking about these 2 freed hostages that the IDF went in and got? That is the kind of military reinforcement the IDF should be having. Maybe not so much the air assault on innocent Palestinians, but the on the ground, getting in there and getting those captives freed. I don't know if you saw this in the midst of an intense Super Bowl, which, Lou Terminello and I have a whole post-Super Bowl breakdown for you on the One Leg Up on Sports feature in the link below. But yeah, that was story number 1 that caught my eye. Because it was a nighttime operation in Rafah, and the IDF rescued 2 hostages. That is a huge deal. Congratulations to the IDF. That's the military operation. Speaking of military, did you hear also, and I feel like even though it's a couple days old, you might not have heard about it, but Lloyd Austin was hospitalized again. Remember he went AWOL in December and not reporting that he had prostate cancer and he was undergoing treatment? I mean, who does that, firstly? But secondly, he's back in the hospital. In fact, he's canceling his overseas trip following hospitalization for a bladder issue. At a time when we need military leadership, this is not good. And I think the House GOP, not impeach Lloyd Austin. No, that would be too cruel. But bring him in for more questioning. Ask him who his second in command is. Because right now in the Red Sea, right now with the IDF dealing with Hamas, right now with Russia and Ukraine, and don't even get me started on Trump's comments. I know once he's in office, he'll change his tune if he gets elected again. We hope. If a NATO nation doesn't pay, they shouldn't be attacked. But a NATO nation should pay to be in NATO. He will always come to the aid of a NATO nation. I believe that. Trump is a guy who just says crap to drum up controversy. Meanwhile, we have a president who doesn't even know what side to stand behind a foreign leader. I digress. Lloyd Austin right now is in the hospital, canceling his overseas trips with 2 major conflicts still going on. And who's running the military? Who's running the Department of Defense? Who's running the Pentagon? I feel like no one really knows, and that's scary to me, that no one really knows. And if he cannot serve in a healthy way, someone should encourage him to step aside and let leadership fully be put into a second in command. Because if he's not able to carry out his duties, that is not acceptable. It's not. And I'm looking up right now. who runs. It's his deputy. Secretary of Defense. Running things right now. With Kathleen Hicks, I believe, running things right now while he is still in the hospital. This is not good. This is not good. And these two things are something you missed. By the way, some other news today. Speaking of news and military and law enforcement, the NYPD did capture that 7th migrant involved in that horrible attack on cops. 7th migrant busted in vicious on-camera gang beating of NYPD cops. So they got a 7th migrant there who was involved with this attack of NYPD cops in Times Square. And so hopefully Mr. Bragg, DA Bragg, does something and then let them out. Literally, what does Law and Order always say? Punish them to the fullest extent of the law? That should happen to these migrants that have been captured after their vicious, heinous attack. They're criminals. Can we even call them migrants that want to be here for good reason if they're out there attacking the cops? I don't think so. And amidst the snow, there is someone on the loose in New York that was responsible for the shooting at Mount Eden subway yesterday in the Bronx. So be on the lookout for that. NYPD trying their damnedest to catch him. We'll come back with some more personal introspectives in a couple of days. But for now, I just thought I'd update you on what you missed during that incredible Super Bowl. Because your eye might have been on that football, but I think our eye should be always on the bigger ball of life. And that includes not having a healthy Department of Defense. That matters. Our neighbors could have loved ones overseas right now, and the people they're fighting for, the Pentagon, are basically not having a solid leader up there because the defense secretary is in the hospital again. So while it might be overseas conflicts, hey, we have men and women stationed overseas. They matter too. So this hospitalization should be, especially after the attack on our troops in Jordan, should be at the top of our news cycle. But where Taylor Swift and Travis Kelce celebrate the Super Bowl, that's on everybody's mind. Get the F out of here. I'm Alex Garrett.